All right, welcome into Valley News Now. Another edition of the Great Outdoors with Doug Leier, a personal highlight of my week, getting to talk about all the fun stuff with Doug Leier from North Dakota Game and Fish. I guess I could probably get you on camera to show the people that you are, in fact, here. Yeah. And I didn't just make that one up. Next time we're going to do a show where it's like just me and I pretend you're here the whole time.
Hey, works for me.
Grab some like old
invisible Leier
you gave. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or
you can just make stuff up.
You got a fashion statement here today. I know we're going to get to this in more detail, obviously, but I wanted to point out to the viewers at home this lovely jacket we got here.
Yeah, it's a float coat. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but some of the proper attire for the fall hunting season.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get into that.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about duck hunting safety. Obviously, a pretty noteworthy topic right now, especially with a pretty tragic incident that we had with a cop from Knoxville, Tennessee, was on a hunting trip in North Dakota, pass away in a drowning incident while hunting there. Just kind of so let's get into a little bit more about duck hunting safety.
Yeah, and it's a tragedy, and one of the reasons that we don't speak to the specifics of that incident, but what we want to do is make sure this doesn't happen again. Right. And when you bring up a point of the outdoors and how for so many people it's an escape, and whether you're a police officer, an accountant, whatever kind of line of work you're in, the outdoors is a destination for a lot of people just to maybe refresh their soul and their spirit, but to get outdoors, to breathe that fresh air. And we talk about it a lot, and sometimes people maybe get a little bit numb to the safety aspect of it. But I don't care if you're deer hunting or fishing or duck hunting or pheasant hunting. The number one priority has got to be safety, because above all else, we want people to come back safe and sound from the hunt, from the trip. And we don't just specifically talk about the gun safety, but we also talk about wearing your seatbelt when you're driving to and from, because again, people get out into the great wide open and they just kind of feel that freedom of, oh man, this is just beautiful. And it is, whether it's the lakes of Minnesota, the prairies of North Dakota, the Badlands, northeastern South Dakota, and there is that freedom in it. But you also have to make sure that you don't get lost in the moment. And we relate that one of the biggest hurdles that we have in trying to prioritize safety is a mindset of what can happen to me. Not necessarily specifically, but nobody really wakes up in the morning and says, well, we're going to go out hunting and we're going to end up in the emergency room. That's not the mindset. But there's the danger of being 10 feet tall and bulletproof and like, wow, this is the way we do it, and we've always done it this way, and nothing's ever happened. And we just really want to hammer home to people that you have to put safety number one every single time. Whether it's making sure that the guns are not loaded in a vehicle, when you're passing guns back and forth, when you're climbing over fences, getting it out, make sure that you treat every gun as if it were loaded, that muzzle control. So we can talk from seat belts to gun safety. And then there's also, a matter of when we talk about the actual hunting on the water and duck hunting. And, when you're in the field, there's definitely knowing where the other hunters are at and making sure of your hunting party. But when you're in the water and you're on the water, realize that even though the sun's shining beautifully on a Wednesday afternoon, those water temperatures are below 50 degrees in a lot of places, and hypothermia can set in a hurry. Wear neoprene waders. They're definitely much warmer than some of the other options that are out there. And oftentimes people think, well, I'm just going to be in the water for just a little bit. And the next thing you know, you're in the water for a lot longer than you had planned on. And there's some things from neoprene waders to also, you mentioned the float coat here.
Yeah,
and this is something I really wanted to highlight, because hunters and a lot of other recreation, you're never hesitant to spend thousands of dollars on a gun, on decoys, on a boat, and whatever other equipment that you need. This is a float coat. So essentially, this is basically like a Coast Guard approved life jacket.
Wow, okay.
A Coast Guard approved life jacket. And it's even great if you're not like out in the water hunting, because it's waterproof, water resistant.
That feels normal too. Like it does. It feels like a normal jacket as well.
Right. So it does still allow that arm movement, because sometimes people are like, man, I need to make sure that I'm able to move my hands, my arms, and not have the mobility issues. But the other thing is, this is going to keep you above water.
Love that.
And it keeps you warm. And I know sometimes people think, well, you know what, we're not on the water very often. Whether you're on there once or a dozen times, your life is worth it. the love of your family is worth that investment. People have no problem. I mean, you see some of the gadgets and the gear that people spend money on. That's fantastic, but don't make an excuse for safety. Don't, it costs too much money, or do I really need that? Your life is worth that. Your family, you need to make that investment in whether it's a float coat or other safety equipment when you're spending time hunting. So I just want to, and this is not for the other guys or gals. This is for everybody, because sometimes, that's not us. We don't hunt on the water. We know what we're doing, and I believe you. You do know what you're doing, but just like whether you're driving on I-94 over the Red River Bridge and you do that every single morning, you make sure that every single morning that you're very alert, because there's a lot of things going on out there, and there's the same thing out in the fields of hunting as well. So it's always good to just really kind of revisit some of the safety reminders for hunting.
One thing I've learned about North Dakota in my time down here too is, this is a destination for this waterfowl hunting, and like, so I imagine it has to be a pretty, this safety message has to be pretty widespread for you guys as well.
No, absolutely, because you're right. You go to Fargo Airport or Bismarck, Grand Forks, and there's people flying into North Dakota. You drive on I-94 on a Thursday or a Friday afternoon, and you see the people that are traveling to North Dakota, and it's fantastic. I mean, we welcome that. That's what we're here for, and people love getting outdoors, and we hear that from so many different people. It's like, wow, the great wide open. You get, west of Jamestown, and you look around and you go, wow, we got a little bit of elbow room. I can breathe out here. And we want to encourage people to do that. The message of safety isn't to keep people at home in their basement. And we want to get people outdoors, but we also want to make sure that you realize that there's just some safety protocol that needs to take place. It's almost like, that checklist for the pilot on the airplane. They may have been doing that for 20 years or for 30 years, but they're going click, boom, click, yep, and they're checking their gauges. You need to do that for yourself and make sure, is the gun unloaded? Do I know where the muzzle is at? Am I wearing my seatbelt? Am I making sure that I've got my float coat? And if I'm hunting upland game, do I have a blaze orange hat? And just making sure that every single time, because unfortunately these situations arise, and we just want to make sure that what we've had happen in the past doesn't happen again.
And make sure you get your orange ready.
Yeah.
I got mine ready.
It's coming.
I got that ready. Let's go and get into that too. Deer season now less than 2 weeks away. We talked last week something that you wanted to hammer home. Make sure you have your tag.
Yeah.
Make sure you have that tag and get that early. Kind of what other things do we need to be getting ready
Right,
for?
so again, make sure if you can't find your tag on Wednesday afternoon, there's probably a pretty good chance that next Friday, November 7th, you still won't be able to find. You can keep on looking. And then I encourage, don't give up.
Right.
But when you do hit that wall, then call the Game and Fish Department in Bismarck and go through the replacement licensing. And now, because things got to get mailed out, and with the Postal Service, some of the delays, you want to make sure that you're taking care of that right now. One of the other areas to explore and to highlight is the fact that there's a lot of people that hunt the same spot year after year. They go to the same place with the same people. And things can change. If you haven't been out there since last year, your beautiful grassland or slough might now be corn or soybeans.
Yeah, especially with some of the storms we had this past summer.
Right. No, and it's interesting, on the other side, talking to some people that do deer hunting up in the Bemidji area. And they get up to Bemidji and they go, wow, last year we had this beautiful forest that we hunted in, and now that forest is completely gone. So again, whether it's Minnesota, North Dakota, as you're preparing for some of your hunting seasons, and we get that. You might live in Fargo or Lisbon or Lakota, and you travel out to Harvey or Hettinger, and you just go out there once a year, and then you get out there and go, whoa, this isn't what it used to look like last year. And that's nobody's fault but your own, and I get that. It happens. It happens to everybody. But again, 10 days out of the deer season might be a good time to take a trip out there, to take a scouting trip out there this weekend. Get out there and check things out and see the lay of the land and see what may have changed. Again, as you referenced, there's been some storms or hailstorms or a lot of different things that happened. Some places had too much rain. Some places didn't have enough rain. And some places there might have been a shelter belt, and now there was a bulldozer that wiped out the shelter belt. And, I guess I'm not going to be hunting there. So that goes into the preparation. It all kind of falls into that checklist line, and failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So we want to make sure and encourage people that they are checking that out. Also, another big one is landowner status. Mm-hmm. And what we mean is there are a lot of land transactions that take place. And where you had permission last year, you may not have permission this year. So there are no guarantees. And again, we want to try to make sure that everybody has a safe hunt, but a successful hunt, and without those surprises. And some of those surprises can be, oh man, we hunted this for the last 25 years, and it got sold last year, and now we don't have permission to hunt that. Now what are we going to do? So that is just a problem that people run into, and with a lot of the different land sales that have been taking place and continue to take place, we want to encourage people to check landowner status, and then also check and see, is that land posted? Last year maybe it wasn't posted to no hunting and no trespassing. This year it may be posted no hunting and trespassing. And you'd hate to drive 300 miles and get there on Friday morning, November 7th, and get ready for that 12 noon and go, oh man, it's posted. We cannot legally access this land. And while there's other places to hunt, there's public lands. If you've been hunting that same parcel year after year, generation after generation, it's kind of a cold glass of water to the start of that deer season going, oh, now what are we going to do?
Now you're telling me that hunters may be falling under some habits here, and they may become creatures of habits in their annual trips. I don't believe that for a second.
And to the point where they might go out there and all the trees are gone and all the grassland is gone, but there's a rock pile, and they'll just go sit on the rock pile. This is what I've been doing.
This will work.
This is where I sit and again, with those habits, with those traditions, we get that, we understand that. But if you'd like to, maybe create a better opportunity to harvest a deer, a rock pile in the middle of a completely fallowed field just might not produce for you. Just a hunch.
Maybe not.
Just a hunch.
But there's a chance.
There's always a chance. There is always a chance.
So, we're talking about posted land. Kind of what can somebody who may be wanting to check the status of that? What are some of the steps there that you could take to kind of checking the status of that land?
Right. So there's a really functional app that a lot of hunters use. It's called Onyx, and that's something that you can use if you're not as much into your mobile phone technology. If you go to the Game and Fish Department website, if you'd rather be on a big desktop computer, we've got a lot of different maps. If you go to the Game and Fish Department website, just click on maps, and that'll take you to a lot of different free options. I'd encourage you to check that out now, again, rather than waiting until the night before and going, oh, what's this look like?
That's fair.
And the beautiful thing about using your laptop is you can print it off, and you can take that along with you, and you can have it in your hand. So if you don't have cell service, or it's a little bit too small for your eyes, with electronically posted land, one of the big reminders is, just because it's not posted electronically, so you look on the Onyx map and go, oh, it's not electronically posted, it should be open to hunting. They can still physically post that land. They can still put up a tire that says no hunting or trespassing.
True.
They can still physically post that land the night before, the day of, whatever they want to. They are the landowners. It's private land, so if they don't want you to access that, that's their prerogative. And so that does happen. And that's one of the things that we run into is, they look on their app and go, oh, this is not electronically posted. We should be good to go. Yeah, you might think that, but when you get out there, it could be good to go on Wednesday and on Friday. There's a lot of different landowners that once we get closer to the deer season, they don't want the land disturbed. They may not care if you were duck hunting or grouse hunting a couple of weeks ago, but now they kind of want things to settle down. So they'll put the physical posted signs up Thursday, Friday. Things will settle down for that next week. And again, just a couple of little heads up for hunters as they're making their preparations.
Just make sure you have your bases covered there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yep, absolutely.
Speaking of having your bases covered, advisory board meeting last night. I know we talked about that last week, about that meeting taking place in Buffalo. What were some of the topics there, and when can people be on the lookout for the next one?
Yeah, so the next one is actually happening tonight. It's way out in northwestern North Dakota and Canmere, but then we're also going to have we're going to have another one in Jamestown coming up in the mid part of November. So there's 8 different meetings. We just had one.
Yep.
So there's 7 more. There's another one tonight. And the topics last night were really strong on deer hunting, deer season, license allocation. We're hearing from hunters that they're disappointed in not drawing tags. Oh, okay. And we would love that everybody would get a buck tag in the unit of their choice. But right now, the supply. So we're limited by habitat. And when you don't have the habitat, you're not going to be able to increase deer numbers, maintain, expand deer numbers. And that's just not realistic to be able to increase tags. It almost works inversely, because if everybody wanted to have a tag, well, then the population would drop even lower. So we've lowered the doe tags significantly across many units across the state. The does are the ones that are producing the fawns every year. And so that's one of the things that we can do. But in the mindset of the hunter, we know that the hunters are frustrated, they're disappointed. The people that I work with, they all love to deer hunt. They all wish they had a deer tag too.
Right.
They're getting turned down.
You guys are in the same system. That's an important reminder.
It's the exact same system. Habitat's the big one.
Yeah.
We can't control the weather, and we've had some pretty significant winters a couple years ago, and as long as it takes to grow, it's almost like a stock market where it can take years and years to grow like a deer population. And then you get one storm and it wipes out the gains that you had. And it takes a while to start, building back. And that's what we're trying to do with the deer population. We're trying to grow it back. It's not as easy as you can't just create deer on paper. So we understand the disappointment and the frustration. Yeah. Well, and the good news about it is in our deer management philosophy, we're not just going to issue tags for the sake of issuing tags.
Right.
So if you were one of the fortunate ones to draw a tag, we're confident that if you get out there, it's a 16.5-day season starting next Friday. If you get out there, you put 4 or 5 days in. It's up to you to have your rifle sighted in. It's up to you to get out and go for a walk and to work hard at it and to make that shot. But we're confident that you'll be able to find a deer if you drew a tag and have an opportunity to take that deer. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it falls back on is that successful hunt is not just about allocating deer tags as many as we possibly can. It's about trying to provide a quality hunt because we don't want hunters to draw a tag and go, I hunted 16.5 days. I walked 3 miles every single day and I couldn't find a deer. So what we want is those hunters to realistically expect that if we put in 4 or 5 days of hunting and we're physically fit and prepared for it and we're going to walk and we've done our homework on finding land to hunt on, connecting with landowners, you're going to have an opportunity to fill that deer tag.
Gotcha. Oh, and so the next meeting you said is tonight, and that was in Kenmare, way out west, right?
Yeah, that's out northwest of Minot. But
Gotcha.
the mindset behind it is these meetings move all across the state. There'll be meetings in Fordville. We've got one coming up in Jamestown, Devil's Lake. So there's a lot of different meetings. Check out the Game and Fish Department website to find the dates, the times, and the locations of those meetings. And if you miss them this fall, they'll be happening again next spring. We do it every couple years. We also have past meetings on our YouTube channel at Game and Fish, and some of those topics just continue year after year. So just a way for us to connect with the hunters and the anglers in North Dakota, find out their thoughts, and then also bring some of the topics to discussion that the Game and Fish Department is working on.
Gotcha. Kenmare's home of the Honkers.
That's right. There you go.
Maybe my favorite high school
Nicely
mascot
done.
in the state. I listen, doing sports for like 5 years. I got every high school mascot locked in this state. You can ask me any of them.
Larimore?
Larimer's the Lobo. No, Larimer's the polar bears.
Yeah, gosh.
I almost got Lamore.
I tried doing the trick question on you.
Yeah.
You are fast.
Listen, man, I did it for too long now.
You are
I got
fast,
this covered.
man.
But
Cat-like
anyway,
quickness.
That's as you can see, I'm quite agile. Light on my feet like a dancer.
Quicker than you look, man. Quicker than you look.
I had to be. Well, that's all the time. Thank you for joining us, Doug.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. That's all the time we have for the Great Outdoors right now. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to have a lot more from North Dakota Game and Fish, and we're gearing up. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming
Deer
up
season
here.
coming.
Deer season is coming fast. Be ready for it. Make a plan, like Doug said. We'll talk to you next week, but for now, for Valley News Now, I'm Devin Fry.